lose in your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
The Denver Broncos select Orange Weekly. Fans, brews, and Broncos news.
Okay, Broncos country, hold on to your hats. This is going to be huge. And I had to start off with this, Jared. You know I had to do something big because tonight's game is major.
I mean, it's major if we win. If we lose, it's like kind of sucks, but we're moving on to it. I'm being a realist here.
I feel you.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, you might be seeing more of us tonight because we promised that we would go live the second that we clinch the playoffs, and this could be it. It could be on a Thursday night here in LA, actually, surprisingly. But either way, we have a chance, and that's kind of big for us.
It sure is. Guys, start posting your comments, start posting your questions, and let's start off by announcing, to make sure everybody knows the rules, the score prediction challenge. Guys, once again, we've been doing this for 9 years on this show, the Tailgate Talk, and we've only been able to award one person Broncos prizes for guessing the score correctly. And I am tired of waiting. So what better way is to get rid of that and just have somebody win a free Broncos jersey if you guess the score correctly. So, couple things with this. One, you got to guess the Broncos to win. I'm not going to give you a jersey if you guess on the Chargers to win and they do. That's not how this works. One, bet the Broncos to win. Two, post your score prediction. Three, get a screenshot of that score prediction because we're going to have a ton of them. I'm not going to be able to keep up with all of them. So get a copy of your score prediction. Four, you can only enter once. If you enter multiple times, I'm going to take the first one I see, and I will double check that there was only one entry from you if you say you got it right. So make sure your first one is the one you're locking in. But yeah, guys, start pushing your predictions, but more importantly, start pushing your comments and questions. We got a lot to talk about. Jared, let's start with how we're feeling about this game. We were talking about it in the chat today. There's a lot of Broncos chatter around the league, of the talking heads, the pundits, that are giving the Broncos credit. And it's kind of funny. I did a little bit of digging into some history there, and I went back to when the Broncos were 0-2. And CBS had put out an article of which 0-2 teams are most likely to make the playoffs. Guess which one they had as the last ranked team to have odds.
For sure.
So,
I mean, we were last ranked at the beginning of the season. People were talking we were 31st and 32nd in some NFL polls. Like they were talking about us being the worst. And here we are. I love being underdogs, which I think, going back to your question on how we're feeling about this, I feel a little worried, only because of the short week. There's a lot going in our favor on paper. It is a division rival on a short week. It's probably going to be a slow start, a slow game in general. I think it's going to be a defensive heavy game. And if you go listen to the pregame podcast on it, where you listen to your podcast, we talk in depth about that. But I think a big part about this is we have the chance to do something that nobody thought we could do. And of course, the day that we have that option, everyone and their mom's picking the Broncos to win and, trying to get on the bandwagon. And I'm okay with it. We've been here for 9 years and we've gone through some of those crappy quarterback carousels to be able to earn this spot. And, a lot of our fellow fans in Broncos country in general went through a lot before Elway, went through a lot, after Elway, went through a lot before Manning, after Manning. And now we're here in this position again. And we have a rookie quarterback leading us hopefully into the playoffs and into the promised land.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree, man. It's fun to see how Bo has progressed through the season. And we've seen him have his rookie mistakes. We've seen him have his rookie games but he always seems to learn. Now, the question here is, yeah, he had a challenging game last week. 3 interceptions. Yes, 3 touchdowns late in the game. Huge, helping us win that game against the Colts. But on a short week here, where you know that the Chargers are looking at that game tape from what the Colts did to throw off Bo, and they are going to try to replicate that and bring the pressure. So do you think that Bo Nix has had time to collect his thoughts and get back out there?
No, but also I feel like he didn't need to collect his thoughts. I think he's having a little bit of a slump, and I think that's part of the game plan. I think we're overthinking him. David kind of put it best, and you know how much I hate giving props to David, so don't tell him. But the way David put it was, he's had a couple down games, and you still got to let him throw the ball. Let him find his receivers. Don't overcoach him. Let him be Bo, and we'll see him bounce back. And I think this is a game. I do, however, believe, and there's a reason I'm wearing this jersey, because of all the talks around the league right now and around Broncos country about our running game and how it's terrible. We need to get rid of all of our running backs. And it's their fault, right? We can go into super in depth. If you watched last Tuesday's show, me and Spotty got into it a little bit. I think it's a huge bounce back game for Javonte Williams more than it is for Bo Nix. I think this is Javonte's chance to shine in a team that's struggling against the run. I mean, they're struggling against everything right now. They're struggling against the run and the pass. But I think if we can establish the run, we keep giving him the rock, and he goes in and he gets our first 100-yard rushing game of the year. And maybe not him specifically, but in general for all the running backs, not Bo being our leading rusher again. And we go in and we win this game on the ground, just playing good, strong football. Yeah.
Well, with Watson being elevated from the practice squad today, what kind of role do you see him having? Because, I mean, is he going to fill the roles of McLaughlin and we're still going to utilize Estime the same way? Or is it going to be the 1-2 between Williams and Estime?
Yeah, I fully believe it's going to be a Williams Estime game. The only time I think you're going to see Blake Watson is probably in some garbage time, see what he could do in game time stuff. And by garbage time, I mean up by at least more than a score, right? Up by 10, up by 17. We can put him in to see what he's capable of. But I definitely don't see him getting that same options as McLaughlin did, where he's getting carries in the first quarter when we need the yards. I think you're going to definitely see Estime and Javonte Williams be the lead in the backfield there.
Gotcha. Look, guys, keep posting your comments and questions. This is awesome. We're having a ton of turnout already. Make sure you hit that share button for us as well, and the like button. That helps out the algorithm, push our content even more. I see a ton of score predictions, so I'm just going to throw these up as we go through the show. I'm not necessarily going to call out every single one because there's going to be a ton. Again, guys, make sure you get a screenshot of your score predictions so you can tell me if you're right at the end of the game, and we can get you that free Broncos jersey of your choice. Also, really quickly, guys, if you want to get ready for this game and feel like a champion beforehand, make sure you grab yourself a bottle of the Breckenridge Distillery Championship Blend. Either the blue or the orange bottles are both delicious. If you're not a whiskey person, something's wrong with you, but it's okay. Something's wrong with me as well. And they have the vodka option as well if you want Broncos vodka from Breckenridge Distillery. So check that out, guys. It's going to help the game go by. And I know for me, it's going to help me kind of get through that first quarter because, as Jesse says, we are not a great first quarter team. We have a negative point differential in the first quarter. Thankfully, only the first quarter. But Jared, I mean, do you see a situation where, we're just not able to get anything going in terms of stopping the Chargers offense early in the game?
I don't think we're going to have an issue stopping the Chargers offense, but I definitely think we're going to have an issue getting the offense going. So I think the biggest point of this is it's going to be a slugger. Anytime you have a division rivalry game on a Thursday night, short time, yes, we've both seen each other. Yes, we're probably going back to week 6 when we game planned against them in week 6. But you have this short week, and it's very difficult to come up with a game plan specifically offensively. Defensively, you're kind of playing what you know, but offensively, you're trying to find weaknesses with injuries and all the other things in the defense. And we just didn't have time to do that. We had a couple days. We had no really practices to practice against it. So you're going to see the offense start slow. And I think you're going to see offense start slow on both sides because both teams had the short week. And it's difficult when you're going into these Thursday night games, especially against a division rival.
Awesome. Louis here, 37-27 Broncos. Louis tailgates next to us over by the flag man. So we do have one more home game this season. If you're going out to the Chiefs game, the Broncos are wearing their throwback jerseys, and
love them.
Could be a real. I mean, they're so beautiful in person too. But make sure you come by the Flagman tailgate in the back of Lot C. Plenty of good food. Louis always serves up some delicious food. So make sure you come check us out and say hi. We got a blank comment from Matt, and we know what that means. We got donated some stars, some support over there on Facebook. So Matt, thank you very much for the donation. Guys, if you don't want to donate to us, that's totally understandable. Jared is looking to get a new pet gopher. I don't know why he had a pet gopher to begin with, but you said your old one ran away or something. So, and those things are expensive. So if you want to donate to Jared's gopher fund, I'd be more than happy to take some extra money there. David, Mr. Spotsville, how you doing, good sir? Mims in the backfield more. So we did see, that is something we've seen the Broncos do a lot this season, especially, just having Mims in the backfield in general, and then really throwing the offense for a loop. So do you see this, or the defense for a loop? Do you see Mims being even more active on the offensive side of the ball today?
Yes. And I say that because I think if for some reason we can't get pressure, if we can't get 3 to 4 yards or more in between the tackles, we're going to have to start spreading the ball out to the outside. Now, outside zones, I feel like both Estime and Javonte are very good at, and they can get to the outside zone. But when you're talking about like sweeps or real like outside pitches, those are where they struggle a little bit more. And I think that's where you start using Marvin Mims with the quick feet and the speed to get to the outside. We have very, very good. I think one of the most underappreciated parts of our game is how well that our wide receivers block. And I mean, I forget, I think it was the Atlanta game. You saw how many touchdowns we got on screens. It was like the same play back to back. It was great. But we, if we want to get that ball to the outside, yeah, you're going to see Marvin Mims in the backfield. And what you're going to see is you're probably going to see him line up in the backfield and Javonte or Estime lined up in the slot to confuse the defense, right? We have the same personnel in the huddle, and that defense is going to say, okay, Estime's in there. He's going to be running in the backfield. And now you have Marvin Mims switch the backfield. That makes them change their mind completely, confuse the crap out of them. I think that's the best way to do it. We got to get Marvin Mims the ball, as we saw. AFC Special Teams Player of the Week, Marvin Mims, put some respect on his name. And we got to get him the ball. We know what he could do with the ball in his hands, and that's the best way to do it. I think just putting him in the backfield, giving him the sweeps, giving him the tosses, and let him make some moves with his feet.
Matt here, Mims is the wide receiver screen is dangerous. Completely agreed. I'm going to call out a fan here. Mr. Red Cloud, sir, how are you? Have not seen you in a long time, man. I'm glad you are here. It is always good to see your name pop up. Thank you for tuning in. Jesse, yes, a gopher, believe it or not. And no, I did not make that up on the spot. But we did get another donation to your gopher fund there, Jared. Mr. Anthony, thank you very much for that freaking awesome stuff. Let's see, more comments here. Ryan, I mean, I'm glad you're watching, bud. Go Broncos, but you know what? At least we did find one Chargers fan out there, so you might be the only one, buddy. I don't know.
You'll see the rest of the 5 of them at the stadium today.
Yes. Yeah. Jerry, how you doing, man? Glad you're here. Tons of Sean right here. 31-17 Broncos. I'll send you my address and size after the game. Hopefully you're right. Guys, keep those score predictions coming in, and also let us know what you're looking for in the game as well. Jesse here, Mims is on point. Totally agreed. Great stuff. Now, talking more about the Chargers offense, we do know that Justin Herbert did get a bit of an ankle injury at the end of last game. The only thing that kind of helps us out there is really limits his mobility if it is still bugging him on this short week. And then our pass rush. If we can get that pass rush going, man, we could cause a lot of problems in the backfield today.
Yeah, I'm going to rehash a lot of stuff we said in the pregame podcast. If you guys haven't listened to that, we talk about a lot of good stuff. But one of the things that was mentioned was in the last 2 games, we played relatively mobile quarterbacks, and we've either had to hesitate getting to him or he's sidestepped and he's been moving around. I think it was Spotty that mentioned that you're not going to see Justin Herbert trying to sidestep anything. If we have him dead to rights, he's probably going to go down. And I pulled up the stats. I think it was 4 sacks last week, 3 sacks the week before, 5 sacks the week before that, 4 sacks. So consistently getting 4 to 5 sacks per game the Chargers have. And that's with a healthy Justin Herbert, as he just got hurt. So we have a chance to see our boy, Nick Bonito, take the sack lead, right? We have our chance to see the Broncos continue to be the most in pressures, most in sacks. We have a chance to see Zach Allen get a personal best in sacks on a season. So we have a lot of chances to get personal bests here and just records that would be really nice. And we still have 2 games left of the season. So it's kind of just a nice place to be.
Interesting fact I learned earlier today. If the Broncos win and several other teams lose this weekend, we could have the entire AFC playoff picture with 2 weeks to go. And that has never happened since the merger back in 1970. So we could be witnessing a little bit of history NFL-wide today, and we'll obviously have to see how some of these other games play out. But just a little tidbit there for you guys today. We did have a question earlier here. Red Cloud, Mr. Sir, what is the status of PS2? Fully expecting him to play. I was very concerned. Obviously, being at the game, I didn't hear any of the announcers or anything that they were talking or following up about PS2's injury, but it did sound like he was walking around in the locker room without a boot or anything like that following the game. So yeah, probably hurt a lot in the moment. I mean, anytime you roll your ankle or get your ankle banged up, plus he got a really hard hit in the knee when he had that interception, and that could have been a huge part of it as well. But you better bet, man, that he was getting nothing but just the most high quality treatment that anybody could get over the last 4 days straight. That's pretty much all he's been doing. I expect him to go out there and just have a hell of a game. One of those things where maybe if Herbert wants to test him out early just to see if that ankle holds up, but past that, I don't expect him to try anything at all. And we're really going to be looking at seeing how Abrams Drain is looking again on the other side.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that with Riley Moss out and with as limited as the injury was to Pat Surtain, I think he was pre-established when they were doing their travel day. They kind of had to come out with an injury report of if they were to practice, where would they be? And he came out fully healthy. So he's ready to go. He's going to go out there and do his things, lock up the one side and put the pressure on Chris Abrams Drain and Damari Mathis on the other side in the slot. Now, the number 1 wide receiver for the Chargers is their slot receiver, right? So you have an issue there where you're going to have Mathis, and I like that matchup. Really, we talked about it on the pregame podcast. I like that matchup the most, and what we're going to see is Mathis trying to lock that up. I don't even see Pat Surtain getting many balls thrown his way, and here's why. As much as he's been struggling this season, Justin Herbert only has 2 interceptions all season. And he's careful with the ball. And I think that's why he's struggling sometimes in yardage, just because he's afraid to pull the trigger. But he's not going to throw to PS2's side if he's smart with the ball. And I think that's what you're going to see is they're just going to be targeting Chris Abrams-Jane. Levi Wallace was, again, out for this week, so you're not going to be seeing much of him. But between Chris Abrams-Jane, Mathis, who's going to be playing our slot, and then Tre'Non Smith, those are our corners set to play on the opposite side of Pat Surtain today.
Awesome. Jesse here with a little tidbit, already seeing more orange than powders. And I am so ready to see the orange in the stand tonight. I did make that video earlier this week where this is NFL might as well just announce this is an extra home game for the Broncos. Like it just, even in our crappy years, it was so much orange, and I expect it to be even more so tonight.
I'll tell you what, when they were in San Diego, I didn't get a chance to go to any of the games down here, but we had a pretty big following in San Diego with the Broncos, and then they moved to LA thinking that they were going to get a better, like, hey, there's more people, there's more chances. But the LA Broncos fan, like SoCal Broncos fans are real. Yeah, Mile High West, like legitimately Like I went to a game, Chargers game before the state SoFi was built. I met the president, or I don't know if he's a president, but he runs the San Diego Chargers or San Diego Bronco fans. And he was talking about going to the game. They have the incomplete signs ready. And I asked him, I had lunch with him and I asked him, I said, so you have those incomplete, it's not a home game. Like you can't just bring that. He goes, watch. He was like, we're going to throw those up and it's going to be louder for us than it is going to be for the Chargers. And I think that just makes just a tremendous difference when you're talking about it. They asked the players about it. They said, it's just nice. You have an extra home game built in there, and Broncos country travels well, no matter where we go. But in LA, we travel and it's going to be great.
Awesome. I'm going to call out Michael here, probably with the comment of the night. Benito can't grab his Bonitos if he scores a touchdown. Yes, he could, maybe if he has a handful of peanuts or walnuts or cashews in his pocket, but that's the only kind of nuts he needs to be grabbing tonight.
I'll tell you what, though, and I said it on the Tuesday show, this may be a little bit more family friendly because I haven't had enough to drink. But when you got Big Nuts Lutz kicking the ball, you can grab your nuts because Big Nuts Lutz is going to make it regardless. So nuts everywhere. Let's go.
I love it. Update on the scores I'm seeing, Jared. Was earlier on seeing some higher scores from the Broncos and more differential, like 31-17 here from Sean. But as we've gone along, I'm seeing a lot closer scores. Jerry had a 20-23 prediction earlier, and then Bryce here with a 27-24. So, I mean, what kind of game are you expecting? Are you expecting this to be an overall close game to the very end, or do you think the Broncos are going to find a way to pull away, in the second half like we've seen in the last couple of weeks?
I'm going to say this not to appease fans because it's going to piss everybody off, but I think it's going to be very similar to last week where you saw the struggles in the first half, and it's going to be similar to last week in both games, in our game and the Chargers game, where in the first half you saw the Chargers maybe take a lead at half. We were down at half going into that game in the second half, and then we just kind of run away within the second half. Our adjustments are just much better, and we move on. I do think that we win this by more than a score, but I don't think that it's going to be very clear in the first half. I think you're going to see most of that coming in the second half, and then you'll see us here Tuesday or tonight after the show to celebrate with you guys that we clinched a playoff spot. I still think the Broncos win, as much as I'm like. And it's weird. And David said on the pregame podcast too, he said, I'm worried about this game because we haven't been here in a long time. And I'm not sure how to feel about games that can clinch the playoffs because we haven't had a game like that in 8 years. No. So it's kind of nice to have.
Well, you can look back, and the closest you could say that we really had was last year's Christmas Eve game against the Patriots, where again, we were pretty much a lock to win that game, according to basically everybody. Patriots near the bottom of the league there, and Broncos kind of fighting for that playoff spot. Now we are in a much better position now than we were. I mean, that Patriots game last year would not have solidified a playoff spot for us, but there was a lot on the line, and that would have put our odds into a very, very high level there. So I do think that feeling is still sticking with them. At least the players that were there last year. Sean Payton said that he lost sleep over that game last year after they lost to the Patriots. And I think that carries with them. I did hear part of the, victory speech that Sean Payton gave to the team. And it was kind of funny. You would think that the coach, after winning a game like that against the Colts and a big game, you would think that he would come out to the team and say, fantastic job. Like, you fought hard. You did great. Everyone was there for each other. Now there are things to work on, and we need to, he started off completely opposite. We need to keep ascending. There is work to do. Do not stop growing. Do not stop moving forward. Oh, yeah, and you guys did really awesome. Yeah. So, look, I think the mindset's there.
I love it because that's kind of where all of Broncos country was, too. You saw us on Tuesday's show talking about that exact same thing. Like, okay, yes, we won the game, but we got some things that we need to shore up if we're going to be a legitimate playoff contender. And I think we can shore those up. I think this is the game that we show that we're not just some contender that snuck into the playoffs. And if you look at the AFC in general, the AFC is it's pretty much shored up, unless for some reason the Chargers lose the next 3 games. The difference is going to be who gets the 6th and 7th seed, both AFC West teams. And it's going to come down to that. And I think that we'll be okay. I really do. I think this game's going to solidify where we're going to sit, and hopefully we don't have to play the Buffalo Bills in the first round, but we can talk about that more on Tuesday.
No, and we'll definitely talk about that more. But basically, I think this game is the decider for who's going to go play Buffalo. And that's a lot to write on, that's a lot riding on the line, because more so for the Chargers, they're used to the LA weather. They're used to their indoor stadium. They're not going to do well in the cold. How many teams do well in that New York cold out there? Broncos would have a little bit better of a chance, but the Chargers are definitely looking at saying we need to avoid that if we have a chance at making a deep playoff push. So you got to remember, like, as we're talking as Broncos fans saying we have so much on the line tonight. Yes, we have 2 other chances to win, but the Chargers are going in there with a lot on the line as well. And they're going to be playing desperate football in the same manner that the Chargers or that the Colts were last week.
Yeah, they're going to be playing desperate football, and desperate but not desperate. Like, they're in the same position we are, weirdly. They just need to win one more. And yeah, thanks, Gary. It's a beautiful hat. You love it. I think you just want it. That's what it is. With the Denver Broncos and the Chargers going into this game, we're both in the same position. We want to win the game to get the better seed. Both of us win one game and we clinch the playoffs. And at this point, after this game, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, that's true. It's not the end of the world if we lose this game. It's not the end of the world if Chargers lose this game. They just need to win one of their next 3. But again, I'm going to say it because Bo Nick said it best. It's not about winning one of the next 3. It's about winning every game after this and winning the Super Bowl. Win one game at a time and you win the Super Bowl. That's how it works. You win one game per week, and you're going to win the Super Bowl. So let's go.
Mike here. Every QB has rough games. Totally agree. They're all human. Hopefully last week was Bo's. I absolutely believe, and you better believe that I too believe, guys. Seriously, the growth he has, and it's not just week to week, it's in game. He has the ability to put his mistakes behind him. He doesn't dwell on them, right? You saw that Sean Payton continued to trust Bo throughout the entirety of that game, even after throwing 3 interceptions. At least 2 of them were definitely his fault, right? If not, you could argue all 3, but either way, there's real confidence between the coach and the quarterback. And when you see that kind of dynamic right off the bat is really encouraging to us fans. And we should look at that and say, okay, no matter what happens, we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to stay aggressive. And as long as Bo is smart with the football, totally agree.
Yep, I'm there. David, I wanted to bring up a couple of your comments here. We do have a better defense this year. I agree. And I think that the Bills they're not inhuman. Like they have weaknesses as well. And there's definitely a chance. It's just probably of the ones that we're looking at, some of the tougher ones. But I also wanted to bring up, let's see. Oh, Matt's. Oh, that was Matt. Matt, here we go. Broncos Steelers AFC Championship. If the things go the way they're going right now, we see them first round of the playoffs. And I've been saying it on the podcast. I said on Tuesday's show, I want nothing more than a rematch with Russell Wilson playing quarterback against the Pittsburgh Steelers. A, we lost that game, and it wasn't even Russell Wilson playing. B, we get to play Russell Wilson again. And no harm, no foul to the guy, but he robbed us. He came in, stuck us up. The cops were there. They let him come through. The cops gave him money out of their pockets and then let him go and was like, yeah, go do it somewhere else. Oh, by the way, you can go have a good career now. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. And we lost a lot of time because of him. I want to go and beat him in the Steelers in the playoffs, first round. And now we have a rookie quarterback winning playoff games. And that's just, when I go to sleep at night, that's what I dream about.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
I have no doubt that the Broncos would very, very, I'm not saying 100%, very, very, very likely beat the Steelers if we were playing them at this part of the season. That game early on, game 2 of the season, it was rough. They were learning, they're coming together, but you look at what this team's doing now, and I don't see how Russell Wilson just wouldn't be sacked 6, 7, 8 times. Because of who he is, because of how we know he plays, and how Sean Payton knows pretty intimately what pisses off, Russell Wilson over there. So,
and I'll tell you what, the greatest part about that is Mike Tomlin versus Sean Payton. I think that's the line. It's not about that's that's good football no matter where those guys are coaching, because, man, those guys are just both tremendous coaches. And that's kind of part of the reason I want to see it, but also the whole Russell Wilson aspect. Let's talk about tonight's game a little bit more. We're at halftime. You want to do some plugs?
Yes. So let's talk about this, guys. First off, talking about halftime. What do you do when it's halftime? I know what you do when it's halftime. You pick up your phone and you start scrolling. And you go get your snacks and you go take a break, whatever it is. Well, don't worry about checking Facebook and all that stuff unless you're coming to see us at our live halftime hash show, where we're going to be breaking down the first half of the game, getting some quick reactions to everything we're seeing, talking about some of the stats, and what the Broncos need to do to come out in halftime to secure the win. So make sure you know we're live every halftime of every Broncos game, including tonight. Also, we mentioned it earlier, if, knock on wood, if the Broncos win and secure their playoff spot tonight, we are going to go live and celebrate as soon as the game is over. So make sure you are just ready to go when that clock hits 0. We are going to be going live and celebrating with you guys. At that point, we'll also announce who won the score prediction challenge. If anyone, I am just assuming somebody's going to win tonight because I'm ready to give away that jersey.
Oh, man.
Also, guys, once again, if you want to feel like a champion and taste what being a champion is like, check out Breckenridge Distillery Championship Blend, Broncos Blend, orange or blue bottles. They also got the vodka as well. Also, all of our other content starting tomorrow night, we'll be doing our post-game show, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Normally it's on Mondays, but this is going to be too big a game to wait till Monday to cover. So we're going to do it tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in for that. And then Tuesday night, we'll be back with Bourbon, Broncos, and No B.S., 7 p.m. Mountain Time to talk about the upcoming Bengals game, which, remember, was moved to Saturday. So if you're thinking you're going to be sitting on your couch Sunday watching the Broncos, wrong. It's on Saturday now. So make sure your calendar is updated appropriately. Man, guys, bottom line, thank you for tuning in. We're going to keep going with the second half of the show here. Keep the comments going. Hit that share button. Hit that like button. It helps us out more than anything. I did see another blank comment. Matt going in for helping pay Jared's Gopher Fund here at Bourbon Broncos and No B.S. Appreciate all the donations, guys. Once again, if you don't feel like donating, totally understand. Hitting that share button, that like button helps us out more than anything else. So really appreciate you guys. Okay, Jared, let's see. Jerry says, I want Jared's golf hat too. I think we all do.
I don't know if
I just don't think I
this
can pull
is
it
a
off.
hand-me-down from my dad. I think anybody can pull this off. That's the best part about this hat. And, I'm always Team Visor. I always have been Team Visor. But this hat is just like anybody could wear it. And I feel more sophisticated. I'm not, but I feel it, right? I just, that's how it's got to go.
Before we move on, Jared, these kind of comments make me tear up a little bit. Matt, right here, new favorite podcast. Look, guys, once again, we are here for you guys. Jared and I talk about the Broncos football all the freaking time. And the rest of us here at Bourbon Broncos No B.S. do as well. So we want to share this with you guys. That's why we started this whole thing, was to connect with you all. So make sure you keep coming back. Make sure you tell your friends and family about us. Sean here with a very similar comment. Love you guys in the podcast. We're going to keep up the good work. Look, we've done this through the Broncos' bad years as of recent. So we are not going to stop now by any means at all. So keep coming back for more. Angelo, I could never pull off the golf hat. I'm right there with you, buddy. It looks cool. I don't think I could do it. Let's see. Love the hat. More hat. Peaky Blinders and Jeremy. I think we feel a playoff berth coming. It's not official. I can't celebrate yet, but I think at the end of the day, you see one team that has really learned how to fight and just get gritty throughout this season. And not to say that the Chargers aren't good, that they're not going to try as well. But when you have a team that fights for each other like our team does, is as gritty and is as committed to each other like our team is, that is going to help you overcome a wide variety of challenges. And I think tonight's one of those situations.
Yeah, and we talk about the culture, and I talk about the culture all the time. And the Broncos did it right? We got our ownership group. Our ownership group got our coach. Our coach got our quarterback. And now he's building around, and we're just rolling with it. And what I love about it is there's only been 2 games that I can think of off the top of my head, 2 of our losses, where we got down and we kind of not gave up, but it was we tried to come back. It was just too much. And that was the Chargers game in week 6. and then the Ravens game, which was kind of like, knock that off as a weird one. But every game that we've been in, there's been a chance that we could have just been down on ourselves, right? Last year's team would have been down by 2 scores or 2.5 scores, 20 points almost, and just given up. But the Broncos don't do that this year. And that's what you see. You see the culture, you see them fighting for each other, you see them sticking up for each other. In the pressers, you see Sean Payton defending the interceptions, then you see the wide receivers and Bo defending Sean Payton, and it's just really cool that they're all working together and on the same page, on the same team, and it just shows. And Broncos country is finally happy, right? Obviously, the win-loss column helps, but you have Broncos country and fans like you guys and us that are just sitting here like in a great position, saying we're finally doing it right. We're not one of those Cleveland Browns or Chargers, where you have the roster, but you can't put anything together, and just year after year after year is disappointment. Dallas Cowboys, and year after year is disappointment. We take our rebuilding time, and then we come back, and next thing we'll probably be back on top as long as Bo stays healthy and all these other things. Knock on wood, we stay healthy, and we're good to go for the next 5, 6, maybe 10 years.
I mean, that is just a crazy thing. After what we've been through the last 8 years, again, the fact we're sitting here in this seat is pretty remarkable. Yeah, call out our followers the hot shots. I like it. We might call you guys that from now on. We need a nickname for our followers. I love it. David, good to see you back here, man. We could see that the Broncos didn't do that last season. Yeah, and Sean Payton even mentioned it earlier this season, a couple weeks ago in one of the press conferences. Maybe I think he was following the Browns game. This last year's team would not have won that game. Would not have been able to. So there's leadership, there's vision, there's buy-in. It's all the things that we've harped on for the better part of a decade now, and we're finally seeing the fruition of it.
Yeah, and my favorite part about that comment, though, from Sean Payton during that game is the follow-up was, well, you were the coach of this team last year. What's the difference? And he didn't want to say it. He was like, it's just different. Like he didn't want to go out and be like, we had to get rid of a couple of pieces. Like there were some people that were a little bit too, whatever the case is. He just didn't want to say it. And he was like, next question, please. Like
next question.
One of the few times I've ever seen Sean Payton uncomfortable on the stand with questions coming his way.
One thing that I really hadn't thought of until earlier today, and somebody else said it. It does hurt a little bit that we are in this position without Justin Simmons, especially seeing the way the Falcons are struggling the way they are this year. And so just the most love for Justin Simmons. I wish he was still a part of this team. If the Falcons wanted to do us a favor and do Justin a favor and just release him so we could pick him up off of waivers, bring him back here for the playoffs, I'd be down with that. Obviously not going to happen, but
late for that. Yeah. But what I like is we know that Justin Simmons is going to retire Bronco, regardless of what he does for the rest of his career. He's going to retire Bronco, and I have nothing but the utmost respect. And the other person I have the utmost respect in, someone in the opposite position playing for a team that is probably Super Bowl bound, is Tim Patrick with the Detroit Lions. I was frustrated to see him go. Didn't like seeing him go. I thought he was one of the obviously health considerations, but I didn't want to see him go. But he went off, and he's now at a team that is first in the NFC and doing very good things, and is a Super Bowl contender and continuously being named that. So good luck to both those guys, and even Jerry Jeudy. They didn't make the playoffs, but I still have love for him. We booed him because of all the crappy talks before the game, but he got his, we got ours, and then we end the game happy. Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy, except for the rest of the Browns over there. Just Jerry Jeudy.
I'm not sure
he was the only one happy in that locker room.
But they benched their quarterback. Why can't I think of his name right now? Jameis. Yeah. Jameis got benched, so they're having some struggles over there. I mean, that's just another organization that just has never figured out the culture problem.
For sure. Hey guys, we're going to start wrapping up here in the next 5-10 minutes or so we can get ready for this game. So make sure, if you haven't done so already, post in your score prediction for our score prediction challenge. Get a screenshot. And if you guess correctly, you're sitting there at the end of the game going, oh my God, I got it right. You got to message us. Tell me, hey, here's a screenshot. Here's the time. I'll go through. I'll verify it. We'll be good to go. But cutoff ends when this show ends. So When we're done, if you bring any score predictions after that, we're not going to count it. We got to have a cutoff at some point, and that's what we're going to do there. So,
yeah, real quick, Matt, I just realized I'm scrolling back to the comments. Sorry, there's a bunch coming in. It was Breckenridge Distillery 5280. It's the championship blend. You can get it in orange or blue. You can only get it in Colorado. In certain states, you can get it shipped to you. Unfortunately, in California, you can't. I illegally snuck this across the border when I went out to Colorado to visit the family during Thanksgiving.
Announcing that to the masses.
Hey, no, yeah, but I'll tell you this. Yeah, California Border Patrol is watching me right now. It's, unless there's a Broncos fan from California Border Patrol, please don't come at me. I'll tell you what, though, as you can tell, I have not busted this open. If we win this game, the second we clinch playoffs, this thing's getting busted open, and we're going to drink some.
That's exactly why mine is still sealed as well. Let's see. Kat, how you doing here? She needs a bottle. We'll get you one down in Texas there. Red Cloud with prediction 27-17. Dylan, how you doing? 20-13 Broncos. You know what, Matt? To be completely honest, in every season that we've been doing this show, we're talking about the draft at this point of the season.
Yep.
This year, we have plenty of time to talk about the draft. After this season, we have way more important things to look at. I know I haven't even really thought about the draft. So there's no need to go down that rabbit hole quite yet. We will have plenty of opportunity to talk about that during the offseason. And guys, we will stay pretty active during this offseason. So make sure you keep tuning in as the news flows in. We'll be breaking it down for it. Let's see. What if I forgot to screenshot? I mean, just tell me.
We'll go back.
Yeah,
we'll verify it regardless. If you say I got it right, we'll come back in the chat and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Whether you're watching from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, we'll go back and we'll take a look at it. Yeah, it just helps us out to know at what time, so that we can kind of minimize that.
If you can't see, there are a lot of comments, which is great, absolutely great.
We appreciate. Yeah.
Let's see. Love it, Matt. Self-snitching, self-snitching, and gopher.
That's why I need to gopher. Yep.
Oh, jeez. Andrew, why did we get forced to Saturday? It was more just the NFL wanted the Broncos to be in a primetime game, you know?
Well, that and yes, if we win today, we clinch, but that means that the Chargers and Cincy are now fighting for that last position. Cincy needs the win. We beat them. They're now out in the AFC card. So they're kind of taking that Saturday as a, hey, we can figure out if that game is going to decide. Yeah, if that game is going to decide the AFC playoff picture, they want it to be in a primetime game so they can announce that and make it a big deal. So that's kind of a big. And then if they beat us, right, they're still capable. They still have a lot. And we'll talk about that next week. With Christmas week coming up, there's a lot. We might be taking a break. We don't know. We'll have to discuss if we're doing a Tuesday show or not.
That's right. It's next week.
Yeah, Christmas Eve. Yeah, it's Tuesday. So we'll talk about that. But we'll talk all about that next week because we have a game here in 15 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Man, it's 15 minutes away, guys.
Let's get to some closing thoughts first. Andrew, love that you have some Orange Weekly swag. We sent you before. Glad you're still repping it and you love it as well. Before we get to closing thoughts, guys, remember we are live at halftime, so make sure you tune us in during that part of the game. Don't care what the announcers say and what they're talking about. This is where you want to be. This is the cool place. You know, Jared's here. I'm not the cool kid, but you know.
We talk all Broncos. The other halftime show is going to talk about other clips from what happened last week and maybe some of the game. We talk all Broncos. You're not going to get the Justin Herbert's only thrown for 50 yards, but he's still the greatest quarterback ever. Yeah. We're going to talk about what you want to hear.
Oh, man. Also, we mentioned it before. We'll say it again. If the Broncos win tonight and clinch that playoff spot, we are going to be going live as soon as that game is over. So tune in and celebrate with us. If for some reason that's not tonight, whenever the Broncos do clinch the playoffs, we'll be going live that night. But let's just think about tonight for the time being. Matt says we'll see us at halftime.
I'm going to be really drunk if we clinch the playoffs tonight. So it's going to be a one to tune in on.
Several of us.
It's going to be a fun one. Yeah.
Several of us.
I might have to call the boss tomorrow and be like, hey, I might be in late.
That's why I took tomorrow off. Let's see. Red Cloud. Haven't felt this good about the Broncos since 2015. I think that's a perfect way to lead into our closing thoughts. Jared, man, this is fantastic. So what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, again, Broncos country should be proud of the team that we built. And I think the ownership group is doing a good job of doing the right things to get this culture prepped. Short weeks suck. I'm always nervous going to short weeks. And for some reason in my head, I feel like our short week is not their short week and they've had more time to prep, but they haven't. And I think that we have the better coach in this situation. They have a first-year head coach in Harbaugh, and is he going to be able to do the right thing? He is a running-focused coach. We haven't really talked about that, but we're going to have to defend the run. They have not been successful, and I think we have the player personnel to be able to do it. And I think that this game is going to show it. We're going to be able to stop them, make them punt. They're not a big turnover team, so we're probably not going to get a bunch of turnovers. If Nick Bonito gets another pick six, he's defensive player of the year for sure. If he gets a couple sacks, he's leader in sacks and one pick six, one fumble for six, then we're talking about him. Like, it's just a great time to be a Broncos fan. I will shout out my score prediction. I do think this is going to be a slow game. Divisional rivals on a Thursday night game is tough. So I think my score prediction was 26-13 on the pregame podcast. So I'm going to stick with that. I think it's going to be 26-13. You're going to see it really probably halftime 7-6 or 6-3. So like something real low, unless there's a bunch of broken plays, which I hate to see because for some reason we always give up at least one in the first half, but then we come back, our defense stops them. They're not going to be able to do much in the second half unless it's garbage time, and we walk away with the win. And we'll see you here after the game. Well, we'll see you here at halftime, but we'll also see you after the game because we're celebrating a playoff glitch. Let's go.
Oh, man. Look, guys, this team is gritty. This team has the right mindset. They have the right leadership. But I do feel that just the trend will continue with the Broncos being a slow starting team in the first quarter. And I think it's going to be a comeback victory again. I wouldn't be surprised if Broncos fall behind by 10 to 14 points, but guys, don't panic if that happens. The Chargers know how to charger. The Broncos fans are going to be there in full force. If you're there at the game, don't get quiet at any part. Make that mile high. Make it mile high and show the Broncos that you're there and you're supporting them. The Broncos are going to be able to fight back like they have been. That's going to be, no surprise to them. It's not unknown to them to be in that situation, and that amps them up more than anything. So look for that, just stay engaged. I'm sure that I'll be yelling at my TV in the first quarter. Don't worry, we all will be. But
yeah, I'm gonna be in
for
the
my score,
watching this one. So
there you go. Hopefully you don't get the cops called on you for being too loud.
They'll be all right. They'll come watch it with me.
There you go. My score prediction, close game, but the Broncos will pull away, and I think a lot of the points that the Chargers will come in the garbage time kind of era. But 27-23 Broncos is my prediction.
Wow.
Okay. And guys, we are not eligible for the free jersey, so
we're not. But I will say I completely forgot this. Sorry to end. Take it back to my final thoughts, but we talk about bounce back game for Bo, bounce back game for Javonte. We get our first 100-yard rush in the season. Javonte is the one that does it. And we control the clock, we control the game, and that's how we win this game.
Awesome. Okay, guys, the Core Prediction Challenge is closed. We are wrapping up this show. We will see you at halftime. Hopefully you guessed correctly, and let us know if you won so I can send you that jersey. Jared, thank you very much for helping me out tonight. Everybody who's been tuning in, you are fantastic fans. We absolutely love you. But I have nothing left to say other than end this, as we always do, on a very strong Go Broncos!
Go Broncos!
Take care, guys.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know